April 26, 1986, 1:23 a.m. Inside reactor number 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, a routine safety test is about to become the worst nuclear disaster in human history. The reactor, a Soviet RBMK 1000 design, sits just 14 kilometers from the city of Pripyat, home to nearly 50,000 people. Most of them are asleep. None of them know that in 36 seconds their lives will change forever. The test begins. Engineers want to see if the reactor's turbines can produce enough electricity to power the emergency systems during a blackout. It's a question that should have been answered years ago, but this is the Soviet Union, where shortcuts are common and safety protocols are often ignored. The operators start reducing the reactor's power output, but they drop it too far, too fast. The reactor becomes unstable. Xenon gas builds up inside the core, poisoning the reaction. To compensate, the operators pull out most of the control rods, the very devices designed to keep the nuclear reaction under control. It's a catastrophic mistake. At 1:23 4 seconds, they push the emergency shutdown button. It's supposed to save them. Instead, it seals their fate. The control rods begin descending into the core, but the RBMK design has a fatal flaw. The tips of the rods are made of graphite, and for the first few seconds of insertion, they actually increase the reaction instead of stopping it. Power levels spike. In less than 3 seconds, the reactor's output jumps to nearly 100 times its normal capacity. At 1:23 40 seconds, the core explodes. 2 massive blasts tear through the building. The first is a steam explosion, the result of superheated water flashing instantly into vapor. The second is even more powerful. Some scientists believe it was a nuclear excursion, a brief, uncontrolled nuclear reaction. The explosions are so violent, they blow the 1,000-ton reactor lid clean off like a bottle cap, and it lands vertically, wedged into the ruined structure. Radioactive debris shoots into the night sky. The core is now exposed to the atmosphere, and it's burning at over 2,000 degrees Celsius. Firefighters arrive within minutes. They have no idea what they're facing. They've been trained to fight ordinary fires, not a nuclear inferno. They climb onto the roof of the adjacent reactor building, where chunks of graphite from the core are scattered, glowing red-hot and emitting lethal doses of radiation. Some of these pieces deliver 15,000 roentgens per hour. A human can absorb a fatal dose in less than a minute. The firefighters use their hands to pick up the debris and throw it back into the reactor hall. They don't have proper protective equipment. Many of them will be dead within weeks. By dawn, the fire on the roof is out, but the reactor core is still burning. Soviet officials are slow to react. They don't immediately evacuate Pripyat. For more than 30 hours, life in the city continues almost normally. Children play outside, people go to work. All the while, invisible particles of cesium, strontium, and plutonium are falling from the sky, settling on playgrounds, gardens, and streets. When the evacuation finally begins on April 27th, residents are told it's temporary. They're instructed to bring only essential items. They will never return. The Soviet government understands the scale of the disaster, but they also understand the stakes. If the burning core melts through the concrete foundation and reaches the water reservoirs below, it could trigger a steam explosion powerful enough to destroy the remaining 3 reactors and render an area the size of Europe uninhabitable. They need to stop it. Helicopters begin dropping sand, clay, lead, and boron onto the exposed core. Pilots fly through plumes of radioactive smoke, making run after run, dumping over 5,000 tons of material. It's a suicide mission for many of them. The radiation is so intense that their instruments fail. Some crews receive doses that will kill them slowly over the following months. Below ground, an even more desperate operation begins. 3 engineers volunteer to dive into the flooded basement of the reactor building to open the sluice gates and drain the water. If they fail, the molten core will hit the water and explode. They wade through darkness in waist-deep radioactive water, wearing nothing but wetsuits and headlamps. Remarkably, all 3 survive, though they expect to die within days. The water is drained, the immediate threat of a second explosion is gone, but the core is still burning. Miners are brought in from across the Soviet Union to dig a tunnel beneath the reactor. The plan is to build a heat exchanger to cool the core from below. They work in temperatures exceeding 50 degrees Celsius, in shifts that last for hours, digging through soil that's been contaminated. Many of them work shirtless because of the heat. The tunnel is completed, but the heat exchanger is never installed. By the time they finish, the core has cooled enough on its own. Then comes the most dangerous job of all. The roof of Reactor 3 is covered in radioactive debris, and it needs to be cleared before a permanent containment structure can be built. Robots are sent in first, but the radiation is so intense it fries their electronics within minutes. So the Soviets send in men. They're called Biorobots. Each man is given 90 seconds on the roof. They run out, shovel debris into the reactor hall, and run back. 90 seconds. That's all the exposure they're allowed. Some of them make multiple trips. Over 3,000 men work on that roof. They receive medals, a small amount of money, and a lifetime of health problems. By the end of 1986, a massive steel and concrete structure called the Sarcophagus is built over Reactor 4. It's not a permanent solution. It's built hastily, and it's already deteriorating, but it buys time. The official Soviet death toll from Chernobyl is 31, mostly firefighters and plant workers who died from acute radiation sickness in the first few months. But the real number is unknown and will never be known. Estimates range from 4,000 to over 90,000, depending on how you count the cancers, the stillbirths, the shortened lives. The exclusion zone around Chernobyl remains closed to permanent habitation. It covers over 2,600 square kilometers. Pripyat is a ghost city now. Frozen in time, its buildings overtaken by trees and rust. In 2016, a new structure called the New Safe Confinement was slid into place over the old sarcophagus. It's designed to last 100 years. Inside, Reactor 4 still contains approximately 200 tons of radioactive material. It will remain dangerous for thousands of years, 36 seconds. That's how long it took for a reactor to go from operational to catastrophic. But the consequences of those 36 seconds will last for millennia. Chernobyl didn't just change the lives of those who were there, it changed how the world thinks about nuclear power, about government transparency, about the cost of human error. And it stands as a reminder that some mistakes cannot be undone.